Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AAOL Lucioball tournament here on this lovely and quite a nice Friday evening here where I am in Melbourne. Queso's in Sydney, and tonight we're going to bring you the action from 12 teams competing for a nice prize pool we've got put up here from the nice folks at AOE. Tonight's tournament will be in a format of a best of three with these tournament games followed by a grand final, which will be a best of five. And so the prize pool for the first place team will be, of course, $45, which I mean is quite nice. That's the first place prize. Second place, a nice share of $30, and then the third and fourth runner-ups will get 2 Summer Games loot boxes for each member of that team. So playing for something. All right, and Queso, what are you expecting from our tournament this evening?
Hi Swift. Yeah, I'm really excited. I definitely think that Lucioball has one of the most interesting opportunities for strategy here, and certainly one of the most different and unique games that is on offer by the Overwatch event modes. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what organized play can do to the game mode, because obviously sometimes it gets a little bit chaotic in the
and that's an interesting point too, because we haven't seen much competitive Lucioball yet. Of course, haven't seen much competitive arcade sort of game modes much recently. Of course, we'll see it next week in the Overwatch League All-Stars game. But anyway, we're going to bring you our first game here. This is match 4 of this first round between Yeetus, Yote, and Last Resort. Okay, so everything's starting quite suddenly here, and so we've got Infinity at the moment on the sort of defending side of Yeetus Yote's side of the ground. And so we've got 4 minutes on the clock, and things are now underway. Of course, well, that'll be Doge for Yeetus Yote scoring the first goal. Okay, so
yeah, I don't know. This is it's going to be an interesting one, because as you see that was a really precise strike there from Doge, and he deserved that goal. But we're going to need to see a little bit more of a teamwork play here for both these sides to keep that sort of streak going. Otherwise, it could just become volleyball.
Absolutely, and I think teamwork is the key, of course, in Lucioball. I think many people will be playing around that gold to plat sort of level, and this Lucioball solo queuing will know how tedious it can be sometimes when everyone on the team's chasing after the ball and not communicating. But at least Yeetus Yote at the moment, we're seeing a sort of strategy between these three players. Infinity back in taking care of goals on the defense, and Mudman and Doge, of course, on either side of the ground respectively. Haven't seen much yet from their opponents, of course. Last Resort, I mean, they haven't really had a chance to attack at the ball yet. So Yeetus Yote looking quite dominant early in this first game with 1 goal on the board. And so Doge just looking for a pass across to Mudman there. Doesn't find it. Infinity hanging back in the goals. Heading it backwards and forwards now. And so I think that was a bit of a mishit there from Doge. But nothing too attacking yet on the side of Last Resort.
Yeah, definitely. It's getting pretty close now, as Last Resort is making a nice strike, but fortunately Yeetus Yote are able to defend and get it off their side of the turf. That being said, really nice hit towards the goal by Jarman, but Infinity is doing God's work on that goal-keeping position and keeping it away. That was a fantastic save right there, as Tenacity had his ultimate out, but it's going to be now a reply ultimate with Infinity.
Well, lots of ultimates on the board there for Yeetus Yote, and Infinity's, that's all it took to score another goal. So halfway through this first match here, and it's going to be Yeetus Yote with a 2-goal advantage. And Queso, I think, sort of touched on having a strong person in the goalkeeper position, of course, key to keeping a team together.
Absolutely. I think that the best way to play Lucioball is to have that goalkeeping position permanently filled by one player, and then have a striker up on the opposite side of the field and a midfielder, someone who can play everywhere along the field, chasing the ball, rather than everyone just, as you said earlier, just chasing the ball, and it becomes a little bit of a mess.
All right, well, we hope these pro players have some strats. Getting a bit close for comfort perhaps now for Infinity. Boot was on cooldown a little bit there, had to hit it out, but ultimates come out now from both sides. Trading ultimates, a few punches. Infinity under a little bit of pressure here, but Yedisio are able to clear the ball into their attacking side, and well, very close to the goal there from Doge. And so 1 minute left on the clock now, and Last Resort are going to need to pull out their trump card. And just as I say that, another goal on the board for Yedisio. Okay, so
Doge was set up beautifully there. Mudman had this fantastic sort of, bait and switch. He looked like he was going to hit it at the goal, hit it to the left of the goal, it bounced off, and then, that allowed Doge to swoop in and make the real attack on that goal. That was a fantastic attacking round there. Oh my god.
So this game might be a bit one-sided now and probably over, so I might take this opportunity to give you an idea of how this tournament's running across the board. So we've got 12 teams currently playing a best of 1 in this round 1, and then round 2, a few games I believe have just started in round 2, and we'll be going there next, another best of 1. And so it'll be a elimination tournament we're going through now, and so you'll get a chance to see a lot of these teams playing throughout the evening. So plenty of action coming up here in the AAOL Lucioball tournament, and I will have word for you in just a moment what game we'll be bringing you next. But we'll finish this one off. Let's see if Last Resort can get a goal on the board case there.
It looks like they can, just as you say that.
Saving some face, I guess.
And potentially, if they get... Well, it's as we saw, some of these goals can take 2 seconds at the start of a round to happen, as I think Doge got one with his ultimate straight off the gate. So it's not impossible for 3 goals to happen in 40 seconds. I reckon that's highly possible, but gonna need to see a little bit more teamwork from Last Resort, I think. Getting a little bit close for comfort there. Infinity does dodge it away, and pops his ultimate as well. Not actually sure what that ultimate is called. I don't know if you know Swift. Is it like drop the beat, but
in Lucioball?
Yeah, is it drop the beat?
Don't know. I should have done my homework, shouldn't I?
I think it must have a name, surely. But unfortunately, Last Resort not able to get the tall order of another 3 goals in 40 seconds, and it looks like Yeetus Yoke will come away with the first victory of their night tonight. So congratulations, Yeetus Yoke. Some great strikes there from Doge and Infinity, and of course Mudmen in goals for quite a number of important saves. Did a really good job.
Thanks, Kay. So that wraps up our first match here tonight. Yeetus Yoke versus Last Resort. Just to give you some scores from round 1, we had JPEG Feed lost to MG Sharks in round 1. Neverlock and the Tilting Bells. The Tilting Bells picked up a win in that game. Bucksdog and Bloodborne and Co. Took a loss to Gamers. And of course, Yeetus Yoke defeated Last Resort here in this match. So that concludes round 1. So in our next game, we'll be taking you to Flat Earthers versus MG Sharks in just a moment. We'll take a short break and we'll see you in just a moment. AAOE Lucioball tournament. And so, okay, so we've seen our first match of the night. Of course, a few matches going on at once here, and that's how this tournament's playing out. But we're now in round 2, and we're going to be doing match 1 of this round, Queso.
Yes. What? Hello?
Hi. Flat Earthers versus MG Sharks.
Okay, I'm excited. I think that this has exceeded my expectations a little bit. I'm, not entirely on board the Lucio hype train, but I think that this does show that there's a potential for an exciting game to happen when it's a little bit more organized and a little bit more, the teams perhaps playing with each other, perhaps scrimming a little bit, and, they understand the mechanics a little bit better than the sort of casual Lucioball style that you get.
And of course, Queso, there's incentive too. So we've got prizes for the 1st to 4th place teams.
I think, yeah, definitely a little bit of incentive to play, to bring your A game and to really show what the game mode can look like if everyone is, practicing and trying hard. I think that this is it's been interesting, and also 4 minutes is better than 5 and 6 minutes that happens in the other modes, the official arcadey modes, which they drag on a little bit, don't they? But this 4 minutes, you've got limited amount of time. You've got to get in there, get the job done, work together as a team, and ultimately it'll be that most cohesive unit and the ones that have perhaps practiced the best. Because it's a bit finicky. I don't know if you've played much, Swift, because the boops don't always connect, and you think, well, I definitely was there, and yeah.
There's obviously that element of frustration, yes, and I think anyone who's played Lucioball will feel that. But I just might chime in here for just a second, Queso, before we start this game. For those of you who are just joining us, we've finished round 1. Of course, I've got the live bracket here in front of me. MG Sharks, one of the teams that we're seeing here, defeated JPEG Feed in the first round. The Tilting Belves defeated Neverlock in round 1. Gamers defeated Bus Dog and Bloodborne and Co. And Yeetus Yote we just saw defeated Last Resort in round 1, Queso. So we're getting underway.
Yes.
This game here, of course, which is Flat Earthers versus MG Sharks. And it looks early in the game, Thostwoon will be in the goals for MG Sharks. So, not an early... didn't want to call it not an early goal. Of course, anything can happen in this tournament, and of course, all it takes is a misclick or mistiming of a boop or anything like that to concede a goal. And so, anyone who's playing in goals in this tournament's got to be very vigilant, and that was a save there from Thostwoon. And so, teams here are just hitting it around a little bit. It doesn't seem like these sides have as clear as I thought, Queso, what was obvious in our last game of a clear strategy from Yeetus Yote, which was having players on either side of the ground and then one player in the goals, obviously. And so in this game, I think what we're seeing is we've got clearly defined goalkeepers here, but of course we've got these sides sort of all chasing after the ball.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll maintain that you need to have that sort of mentality that you need the goalkeeper as a must. And I would argue that your goalkeeper needs to be your best player, because
well, you've got to be switched on, that's for sure.
If you can prevent the enemy team from getting any goals by always, booping it away, booping it out of there, and being able to also handle the pressure of perhaps 2 enemy strikers trying to boop it into your goal, if you can manage that on your own as a keeper, I think that's probably the best strategy. And you see there, the goalkeeper gets his ultimate the fastest, so that's another plus side of having a really solid keeper, because they charge it up very fast.
And that's a good point, and too, that's when you can have a switch in the goalkeeper role, is when the goalkeeper comes out of goals and someone falls back. So we're seeing ultimates being brought out from both sides there. Dan the Bam, as you said, bring out his ult, but Mafia Monkey just now also using their ultimate, not to very much success. Both of these sides are sort of keeping the ball in the middle of the field, and we're seeing a lot of congestion in the middle of the field here. Thostwoon on goals coming out now a little bit. That's a bit risky as the ball falls back a little bit. That was a close call, and so what we're seeing now is these teams in the MG Sharks defensive half battling it out as now it heads down towards the other end, and nearly 3 minutes in and we haven't seen a goal yet. So this is a very different dynamic than the game we just saw. And so
yeah, I think the Flat Earthers here are putting in a lot of pressure on MG Sharks, and because as you see, both Flat Earthers sort of are playing the midfield rather than a striker or a defender sort of style role, and as a result, it's really stressing. Oh, that was close.
Ultimate coming out there from Glacy Shays. One of these teams is going to be desperately hunting for a goal here, or be heading into overtime.
Yeah, again.
Nothing too promising just yet as another ultimate comes out there from Pandemonium. Sort of looking for the ball, hasn't found anything with it as he hits it into the corner. Sort of comes back and a little bit risky there, Thosgrim coming out of goals, but he uses his own ultimate and pushes the ball forward a little bit. And the hunt is on here for a goal, and Thosgrim, who comes out of goals, waiting patiently at the back for 3.5 minutes, is able to get a goal on the board there for MG Sharks, Queso.
Yeah, and in the last 30 seconds, so it's going to be very tough for Flat Earthers to equalize or perhaps steal this game from MG Sharks. That is a pivotal goal.
And that's all it takes is one goal as well. So down the Bam and Apple Panda, both with ultimates. Apple Panda using his early in the piece here. And so they've got 20 minutes now to score a goal. But Thosgrim's playing a little bit on the aggressive side in the goals. But maybe it will pay off as he hits it back to Mafia Monkey at the other side of the ground, who isn't able to find anything onto it just yet. And with just seconds remaining, it does look like that MG Sharks have done enough with one goal on the board to take this round 2 match.
Wow, and as you saw there, I think the little bit of the BM there from Mafia Monkey was just not actually hitting it anywhere, like shooting it downfield, just keeping it in his possession to prevent Flat Earthers from perhaps even making another strike. So, well done to MG Sharks for a great victory.
Absolutely, and so I've got an updated bracket here with the scores. For everyone watching at home, I can inform you that Grill Hunters have defeated the Tilting Belves. So after winning that first round game, the Tilting Belves have fallen defeat to Grill Hunters in round 2. And so Grill Hunters will be advancing to round 3. Kitsunami have taken a win against Yeetus Yote, who we saw were quite dominant in that first round 1 match. And so Kitsunami will be, of course, competing in round 3. So we're waiting now for the results from the MG Sharks 2 team, the other MG Sharks team, and the Gamers match to see who will be taking on Kitsunami, I'm sorry. Of course, MG Sharks will be progressing to round 3 for a match against Grill Hunters, as I just mentioned. So I think we'll try and bring you the Kitsunami round 3 game, and depending on who wins in this MG Sharks 2 game and Gamers will go up against Kitsunami. So we'll go for a little break now, and we'll be back in just a moment with a round 3 match. Alright, okay, so we're here now in round 3. Another best of 1 match, and we are watching MG Sharks 2. This is another MG Sharks team go up against Kitsunami. And so we're in round 3 now, and so there's 2 round 3 games happening at the moment.
Alright.
So we've got Orgalian in the goals for Kitsunami.
We're Busan Stadium! Sorry, I just noticed. I think that's against the rules, but let it slide.
So, oh, it's just as about to say, no early action, but Primax does score an early goal. And so, as we've seen so far from our commentary tonight, early goals make all of the difference in Lucioball.
Well, I think that from what we've seen, it's basically been an early goal solidifies into a really long-lasting lead, or it's an even game and then it comes down to that like cheesy last 30-second goal.
And a goal's got to be scored at some point, obviously.
Well, yes, yeah.
The early goal on the board there for MG Sharks 2, of course, MG Sharks and MG Sharks 2 both looking very good in this tournament so far.
Very much
we might
so.
get at a point though where they go head to head, but we've got another goal there from Primax, and so this lead is being extended a little bit. So MG Sharks 2 looking very good early here. 1 minute in.
I was watching Orgalian. I was watching him there, and it really looks like that was unfortunate in his perspective because he definitely went for that boot, and I think that it should have been deflected straight out of goal, but I think he's just as disappointed because it looked like it was a save and it coasts straight on into the net. Well, the goal, I suppose.
And so the ball's sort of heading all over the place now as these teams are looking for an in somewhere, but Primax, he seems to be the best on ground. No, it's probably too early to call the best on ground, but Primax here for MG Sharks 2 is somehow finding the goals time after time. 3 goals now on the board, and we are not even 2 minutes in. Basically.
Yeah, and that there, as you saw, was a beautiful strike, like straight into the corner, and it bounces into the back of the goal box. So that was an amazingly well-placed boot. Perhaps I'm not sure whether Primax might main Lucio in the regular game, but
he just pulled out his ultimate there, and he nearly found the corner of the goal once again. And he somehow gets it in again. Orgalian did get a boop off, but it wasn't quite enough. And so have a look at the replay of that goal. Primax is looking very determined, and I sort of... okay, so didn't quite boop it out enough, sort of booped it to the side, and it still found its way into the corner of the goal. So perhaps getting a little bit unlucky here, Orgalian, in the goals. But he's going to... looks like he's going to stick with it, although he does have his ultimate online. Neither of his teammates have yet found an ultimate, but Primax is absolutely on fire in this game with 4 goals to his name, Queso.
Yeah, I think that he knows how to hit them. He knows how, like, the angle at which you need to shoot, and I think this is really that the strategy that teams need to employ, having that sort of midfielder.
Just one good player who can score every goal.
Well, yeah, having the midfielder that's able to direct the ball to that striker, and Primax is in the right spot on that jump pad every time to pop it straight into the net.
And so perhaps for the good of the viewers, you won't see the match chat on your screens, but there's a little bit of banter going on between these two sides at the moment, and so we do see an ultimate coming out now from Magix. Took a little bit longer than Primax to build that one up, who's of course halfway to his next one. Nothing is able to eventuate from it though, as Orgalian hits it to the other end, and so getting into their attacking end is something that Kitsunami has struggled with so far. Of course, at this stage in the game of this tournament, Kitsunami did win a game against Yeezus Yo last round, who looked very convincing in the first round, so clearly the SMG Sharks 2 team is quite strong because Kitsunami have shown to be strong so far as well, so keep that in mind as well. So Orgalian booping it back to the other end of the ground continuously, but he isn't able to nothing is able to come of these entries inside their attacking half, and so things are looking a little bit dangerous now as Primex is able to capitalize on a, I don't know, that was sort of took the guard down a little bit there in goals. Orgalian, I think, wasn't expecting it to come back to him so quickly.
I think at this point that it's
are you ready to call this one?
Yeah, I think at this point, I would say that it's a generous amount of time to be able to score a goal in 10 seconds. I think that's the minimum amount of time you need to score. Okay. Yeah.
So, I'm definitely ready to call now Primex best on ground for this.
Definitely.
For this match, MG Shucks versus Kitsunami. He's got all of the 7 goals for his team, and so understandably, the members of Kitsunami are saying, "Well, Primex, you're hard carrying your team at the moment," and so.
Well, I think it's still a team effort. I don't want to discredit the works of Magix and Nori there, but.
Well, of course, they're both because Primex has been able to do so much. They're both hanging back at the back of the ground. Oh, Galleon! The patient goal. That's a recurring theme too. The patient goalkeeper waiting back in the defensive half, building up that ultimate, and then coming out at the end to score a goal. I guess that's always exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, that was. I think that. If that had happened maybe 2 minutes ago, I'd declare the game still alive, but it's unfortunately perhaps too little too late. I think that basically what they could just do, what the MG Sharks team can do, is just hit the ball between them and just retain possession for as long as they can.
That was close to another goal there from Orgalian, but it was just a little bit too high. How did Orgalian get credit for that?
I don't know.
Was it
No, it was definitely Primex. Primex got that into his own goal. But...
Oh, I see. So because Orgalian was the last person to touch it. And so the bants are occurring in the match chat, of course. So while this game might be over, the other round 3 match in this winners bracket has also just concluded with the other MG Sharks team picking up a win against Grill Hunters. So it does look like we'll be going...
Oh my god.
Onset scoring a goal there. Nice way. It does look like we'll be going to a semi-final, and the semi-final, of course, will be a best of 3. So it is looking now like MG Sharks versus MG Sharks 2 in that semi-final.
Oh, it's going to be a battle for the ages there, Swift. Hopefully there's a little bit less BM, or a little bit less banter, because if they're both very competent teams, then... Oh my god. They're not going to let this game end, are they?
I might just take a quick poll in the Twitch chat, being a little bit democratic, and see whether people want to see the semi-final MG Sharks versus MG Sharks 2, or whether you'd prefer to see a game in the losers bracket, because of course we haven't seen a lot of those teams yet. So just take that quick poll, as we've got 5.5 seconds left now on the clock in this game. Can Kitsunami bring it back with 5 goals? Well, they're gonna let them have 1, and so lots of.
I think this is the consequence of this game, isn't it? Because, like, it needs to be more clearly defined how the start and end, well, the end at least, occurs. Because silly things like this can happen, where it's literally longer to watch the replay of the goal than there is time remaining on the clock. So, well done to MG Sharks, because that was very well played. And Primex, as you see here, getting play of the game. And I think our best on ground did some amazing work here with some phenomenal goals. Nice. That's crisp. That's crisp there, Swift.
Thank you.
If you say so.
I do.
Alright, so we're going to take a short break. I'm not sure what game we're going to bring to you next, but the update I have for you now, of course, is now that the round 3 results are in, MG Sharks, of course, picking up a win against Grill Hunters, and the MG Sharks 2 team picking up a win here right now against Kitsunami, which will mean the winners bracket semi-final will be a best of 3 next. MG Sharks versus MG Sharks 2, and I think we might bring you that game next, actually. So we're going to go for a short break, and we're back in just a moment. Stick around. Hello and welcome back to the AAOL Lucioball tournament. It's a very nice, fine Friday night here. Hoping everyone's had a good week and looking forward to the weekend, of course. I might just bring you an update now from some of our other matches, which I haven't touched on, of course, in the losers bracket. So in round one of the sorry, I mean, compose myself quickly. Round one of the losers bracket, Yeetus Yote picked up a win against JPEG Feed. Gamers picked up a win against Neverlock. The Tilting Belves picked up took a loss to Bucksdog, Bloodborne, and Co. The Flat Earthers also recorded a loss against Last Resort. And then so moving in to losers round two, Yeetus Yote currently going head-to-head with Gamers. No result there just yet. I'll let you know when there is one. And then Bucksdog, Bloodborne, and Co. Unfortunately for them, took a loss to Last Resort. So we did see Last Resort in that first round. We brought you that game against Yeetus Yote. Yeetus Yote very dominant in that game, but Last Resort are looking very dominant in this losers bracket. And so in round three, Last Resort will be taking on Kitsunami. And so this game that we're bringing you now, of course, is a semi-final. So this will be a best of three between MG Sharks and MG Sharks 2, or MG Sharks OG. We'll be calling them 1 and 2 in this game, I think, Queso.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be a Oh, close game. And I mean, I'm interested that it's happening in the semi-finals because I think that it could very well happen in the finals again as well. Obviously, the loser here will go down into that losers bracket as you were alluding to, and if they win there, then they can come back to the final.
Yes. So one of these MG Sharks team have got a tougher road ahead of them to get into the final, of course. Whereas the winner of this semi-final will be going straight into the grand final for a chance for that sweet cash in the prize pool. So we've got 4 minutes on the clock here now, and so so in our last game we saw Primex for MG Sharks, of course, looking. Oh, we've got a problem in this. Oh, of course, we've got to go to Sydney Harbour. Of course, we did look over that in the last.
Yes, it needs to be Sydney Harbour, the worst of the 3 maps, in my honest opinion, because it's night time and it's a synthetic hard court, whereas the other maps are in the daytime, and obviously the Brazilian map has lovely lush grass, and I don't know about you, Swift, but I love seeing some lush grass textures from Blizzard Entertainment. I think they're crisp and on point. So
if that's your thing.
I love it. But yeah, Sydney Harbour is the rules, so we've had to do a quick restart to get that corrected.
And so these people are playing with me a little bit here now, because we've got 2 teams called MG Sharks, and I've got no idea which one is which. Of course, MG Sharks 2 we just saw against Kitsunami, although you'll be seeing them now on your screen as MG Sharks 1, I believe. So
yeah,
there you go. They're playing tricks with us. But either way, whichever of these teams picks up a win in this best of 3 semi-final series, it will advance straight to the grand final. So bit of a rivalry between both of these, a very friendly rivalry, of course, between these 2 MG Sharks teams as they take each other on.
Oof.
So
that was a beautiful intercept from Glacy there. That was
both looking very competitive, and so Primex almost scores a goal there. Of course, Primex looking very dominant. I think he got eight goals on the board in the last game, and so he'll be looking for an entry into the goals right now, and he's getting awfully close. The ball, nice trajectory there, but unfortunately was a little bit off.
Yeah, he had the right distance, and setup was not lovely, but he didn't have the right angle. But
so I just got a quick update. The Gamers have taken a win against Yeetus Yote in the losers bracket. So just a quick update for you there. Yeetus Yote have been knocked out of the tournament, and Gamers would advance to a round 3 losers game against Grill Hunters. So
yeah, that is sad though. Yeetus Yote looked rather promising in our first game.
Absolutely. So I'll keep an eye on the bracket for you and keep you informed during this semi-finals match. And so we're 2.5 minutes in now to this first match of this best of 3 series.
Oh,
haven't found the goal yet. That was very close. Magic's, of course, managing to stop it. And so Glacy Shays has used an ultimate there and hasn't been able to score a goal off of it. Of course, 2 Magics and Primex also using ultimates, and have found nothing for them. So 2 minutes left. And Monkey somehow finds a goal there. I've sort of looked away to check the bracket as that happened, so we'll have a look at the replay.
It looked a little bit like Norris' boot just didn't connect, or that he left it too late.
Not sure what happened in the goals there, but of course, Mafia Monkey got a boop onto the wall, and of course the wall rebounded the ball off into the goals on the perfect angle. So a bit of a lucky goal there. I don't know whether that one was calculated or not. A very good play if it was. And so gonna see now what we've been calling MG Sharks 1 scoring that first goal. Just to confuse you, the MG Sharks OG team. And so 1.5 minutes on the clock, but of course this is a best of 3 series, and so won't be all over.
So fortunately, as you said, like it that goal was a little bit, I think 50% luck. So it's not it's not the end of the world if.
I think if you ask Mafia Monkey, it was all skill, 100% calculated. So
yeah, he ran through the complex, trigonometry equations there in his head when he was placing that one, and got it in.
So doing some calculations in the head, calculating the precise angle, and it was a very good angle too. But nothing's happened here since that goal, of course. And so if MG Sharks 2, the OG team, unable to find a goal here, of course, we're going to the second game in this best of 3 series, and so.
Yeah, I mean, that being said though, I think oh, Primex gets it between the 2 defenders. They had nothing to answer with that. And look at this.
And so that one there, this goal here looks like sorry, I've gone completely brain dead. It looks like a Rocket League goal, that one with the.
I mean, that looked calculated.
Absolutely, and of course we've seen Primex on fire in the last game, so of course I wouldn't put that one down in the luck column. That's definitely him. Very good play, and so he's just had an ultimate come online. He hasn't used it just yet. Thosboon does use his ultimate though, and so we're going to have 3 ultimates online here for MG Sharks 2. On your screen is MG Sharks 1. And so Magix brings out an ultimate as they're looking for a goal to seal the deal. We're 1-1 here on this first match of this best of 3 series. All of the ultimates are coming out from all of the sides now as they're desperately on the hunt for a goal. And we're going to head into overtime in just a moment. Primex bringing out that ultimate. Primex, of course, most likely to score a goal here for MG Sharks 2.
Yeah, and as we know, this overtime situation that happens in Lucioball is indefinite. This can go on forever, theoretically forever. So this is going to be truly a goal.
And what it's going to take is one of these players to make a mistake, one of these goalkeepers to mistime a boop or miss a click, and so that's going to be inevitable. Either that or Primex is going to find the goal at a perfect angle, and I'm going to put it past him. He's a very good player, as we have seen this evening.
Oh my goodness. The strikes from Primex are always so... They make me very pleased. It shows that there is some skill in this game mode after all.
Absolutely. Magix. Mafia Monkey. Able to get a goal, and so MG Sharks 2 on your screen, you'll see have a win. That's the MG Sharks team, as we've been calling them tonight, and so MG Sharks 2 or MG Sharks OG will now be heading into the losers bracket, where it looks like...
No, hang on.
What?
Don't we have a second thing?
Oh,
a second game. That wasn't the end of the world.
Thank you for reminding me. This is a best of 3 series, so I shouldn't be writing them off just yet.
Exactly. We've got an exciting sequel to this game with these 2 teams.
Of course, everyone's surely excited to see what's going to happen in the next game of this best of 3 tournament. Well, on that note, Queso, I might just bring an update for our wonderful viewers at home, who we love very much. Kitsunami has played their round 3 match in the losers bracket against Last Resort, and so Last Resort has pulled out a win there against Kitsunami. Last Resort, of course, we saw lose in the very first round, and so they're progressing very nicely now through this losers bracket. And so we're just waiting now on the results of losers round 3, Grill Hunters versus Gamers, and so that will determine who's playing in that best of 3 of the losers round 4 against Last Resort, and I think we'll be bringing you that game next. Okay, so both of these MG Sharks teams are looking very good. Who do you think was your pick in that first game?
I think that everyone there was on a very equal playing field. It wasn't as dominant of a display that MG Sharks OG or MG Sharks 1 had in the last game that we casted and watched them win, because this second MG Sharks team, or MG Sharks 1, or their opponent in this game, they are very good as well, and they definitely have a very strong defense, and they can put the pressure onto that on their opponent as well. So Primex didn't have as much space perhaps to work with as he did in the first round, and as a result, he was only able to score 1 goal in the end there. And I mean, it was a very calculated, very good goal, but ultimately, I think Mafia Monkey picked up the winning goal in overtime, and I think I'm going to give the edge to him in this game.
And as we've seen, all of these goals have been really good in that match. Very hard fought. So we're now heading into the second match here of this best of three, and I've just got an update. We will be bringing you the losers bracket best of three probably right after this one. So let's wait and see what happens. Let's see if MG Sharks can... either MG Sharks team, let's see what they can do here.
I'm very excited to see, hopefully, that the OG MG Sharks team can bring home a win and equalise this best of three series, and then we'll be going into that really crucial third map. So that's what I'm hoping for here.
You want to see that third map?
I do. Just like in Overwatch, they want to see that elusive fifth map. I am keen here for an equaliser and that tiebreak map to come out.
And while the prizes in this tournament might not be as impressive as Overwatch League, I think this is a very fun tournament, and I'm very much enjoying seeing these games here. So Magic's on the side of MG Sharks.
Oh!
As I say that, he sets up a very, very nice goal there for Primex. Primex very dominant, and I think he's finding his way back in this second game with the pressure on a little bit more. Of course, they need to win to go to map 3, MG Sharks OG.
Yeah, it's possible they've come off, being a little bit cocky in that game that they did very well in, and they didn't perform as well in that first round against their co-MG Sharks team. So now they're perhaps, bringing their A game, and we're going to see a little bit. As I say it happens yet again. Primex is, he's bringing it back for this team, hopefully. That being said, 3 minutes is a lot of time, so anything can happen, and this is still very much in play.
Absolutely, and so looking for a few ultimates nearly online. Of course, Primex on fire, very close to an ultimate, and we've seen tonight he works very well with his ultimate ability in this tournament. As he's dribbling it up the side of the ground. Noir in goals there, looking to boop it out, and Magic's doesn't quite connect, but that would have been a nice goal had he done so. And so, that was I give Mafia Monkey full credit for that, absolutely, because 2 defenders there for MG Sharks OG, and so the boop did come out on the front defender, but it didn't quite connect, and so the person in goals didn't really have much time to react there. So
yeah, and
good opportunistic goal from Mafia Monkey.
And as you were saying as well, the person in goal is often very if you stand too far back in the net, then and you jump, that jump pad, it can be fatal in goal because
and absolutely, and just on that too, Primex using this jump pad really well tonight, and obviously right then, look, jumping off that jump pad at every opportunity to try and get a boop in on that goal, because that's a very efficient way of scoring a goal, and probably his favourite way of scoring a goal, as it gets awfully close now. Magic's ulting to try and get the speed to get the ball there, doesn't quite find it, but Primex, so many opportunities, and he's not wasting any of them, but this defense, of course, is very good. The ball nearly went in to the goals right there. Would have been an own goal. Few ultimates coming out now from either side. Mara and Mafia Monkeys trading out ultimates now, but neither of them are able to capitalize on it just yet. Another ultimate comes out from Glacy Shays. And the ball rolls into the goals, and Noir is going to be absolutely devastated. Okay, so
look, I mean, you need to watch this replay, because it looks like he gets the boop. No, he gets... Sorry, my bad. Look at that. He didn't even have the boot. Perhaps it was on cooldown. Tried to punch it out of goal. Too far from the ball. Didn't connect, and it just rolls on in.
Very unfortunate, but as we've said tonight, the timing of using that boop and those cooldowns, of course, are crucial. And so Primex back in goals just now. That ball's looking good, but it is defended. Primex, of course, with another ultimate. And so if anyone's going to do something special with the ultimate in this game mode, it is going to be Primex. And so Noir back in the goals again, of course, this round, and Primex loves that pocket there, okay, so with that jump pad on the left-hand side.
I was just thinking, because you mentioned, the cooldowns, managing your cooldowns, and I was thinking, well, hang on, boop isn't the only ability. You do have that amping up speed. And then I thought, well, hang on, you can't really see the effect of that. Oh, Primex. doing an amazing job. But you can't really see the effect of the speed boost, and it's almost like the jump pads are more impactful in this. I think that because you have them sort of all the time.
You can travel quite a distance on that jump pad without having to rely on the cooldown of the speed boost, but it is very difficult to time the jump.
I think, yeah, and it got me thinking about why Primex is quite good, and I think it is because he has really good use of the jump pads to give him that extra speed for the strikes that he does when he attacks the goal. So I think there, that the amp it up, it's on like, what, a 12-second cooldown? It's a little bit too long, and those jump pads, if you can use those to maximum effectiveness, that's what makes a good Lucioball player over perhaps managing that perhaps potentially not as impactful amp it up ability. So
insightful analysis as always, Case. So we've got 30 seconds on the clock here now, and MG Sharks OG are going to want to defend this 1-goal lead, because then we'll be heading to map 3, where these teams will face off in a tiebreaker to decide this series, and Primex solidifies that lead. 2 goals in front with 15 seconds left to go. MG Sharks OG, MG Sharks 2, looking very good now to take this fight to a map 3.
When he hits the boot and it goes into the goal and it hits that inside post and smashes straight on into the goal, that is a really satisfying goal to watch.
I'm glad you're satisfied, okay, so 10 seconds now on the clock as Magix brings out an ultimate. That looked very close to the goal there. Hunting for a second opportunity now at the goals. Doesn't quite find the right angle, but does. At a third attempt there from Magix. Gets the goal, and absolutely for certain we are going to a game 3 now in this match between MG Sharks versus MG Sharks 2.
Yeah, and I think that's deserved. These teams are very good, both very competent, as you saw the second MG Sharks team, or whatever the name exactly is. We don't know, it's a little bit confusing. MG Sharks...
I can explain it to you, but But the team with Primex as their most valuable player, I would say, I think they're very much now on the hunt for a secured spot in this grand final. And so there's a lot of people who have just joined this stream who are waiting now for this match to conclude, because of course we will be bringing you the losers round 4 best of 3 game. Up next, that's Gamers versus Last Resort. If you guys want to say hi there in the chat, we'll be bringing that game next on this stream. Of course, the winner of that game, Gamers versus Last Resort, the next one will be facing off the loser of this match here. So perhaps they now have an opportunity, a slight advantage now, because they are going to be able to see the tactics of these teams, the team that they are going to face off next. And of course, if unfortunately MG Sharks OG do take a loss here, whoever's going to be playing them next are going to be absolutely packing themselves facing off against Primex.
Yeah, and I think if you want to get a bit of insights, rewind the stream about 3 or 4 minutes, because I think that jump pad sort of consideration there is something that every team would benefit from hearing, because I think that the amp it up does feel a little bit underpowered, I dare say. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this best of 3 here, and this third tiebreak map. I think it definitely will be down to the wire. From what we've seen, both sides have a good striker. Primex on
Primex probably favoured.
OG, but you say that, but Mafia Monkey as well. We've seen some amazing work.
Sides here. You're right. And just an update too on Mafia Monkey. I've got word in now that his computer has fried itself, and so I think maybe he'll be restarting. So we are going to take a little moment before we get back into this game, but that's going to give me an opportunity to update everybody on the current state of this tournament, of course.
Oh, yes. Yes, please.
Just an update of what's been going on in the losers bracket. So Grill Hunters unfortunately knocked out, took a loss there to Gamers, and Kitsunami, who we saw just before, took a loss to Last Resort. So Gamers versus Last Resort will be bringing you next. Best of 3 in the losers bracket. And whoever wins that game in the losers bracket, of course, will take a game, a best of 5 game against whoever loses this game. Of course, whoever wins that best of 3 in the losers bracket will be facing off against the winner of this match in the grand final. So it's anyone's game now. So between MG Sharks 2, Gamers, and Last Resort. Okay, so we've got a exciting tournament on our hands.
We really do.
We're about to get stuck in now to the third map, the tiebreaker, the decider of this semi-final.
Yeah, this is very hype in my opinion.
I'm hyping it up
because I really like both of these teams, and I want to see both of them succeed. But you know, ultimately, one team has to come first, and you know, it's just going to come down to those small little mistakes that you know one side or the other might make. And looked a little bit like MG Shark's OG was not sure whether they're AFK or something.
I think we're going to restart. Something's obviously transpired. I'm just saying, standing around a little bit there. Okay, so after all of that hype, we're gonna wait a second. So I think one of the players is disconnected from Discord, and of course, communication. Communication absolutely fundamental.
Yeah, I think that's
competitive Lucioball.
Well, I mean, I don't know, competitive Lucioball and the sort of arcadey style, perhaps you can take it or leave it. But for these sort of tournament style things, you need to communicate what you're gonna do, what your, you know, whether your goalie's got it covered, whether you need a bit of help on the defense, and whether whether your striker's in position, and whether the defender has a line of sight, no one's gonna intercept across the field, because I think at the end of the day, the best sort of opportunities to strike comes from those cross-field moments where the ball comes from, defenders sort of far side, maybe like left wing, crosses the field over to the striker standing on the attacking sort of position on the right wing, and then you can just, pop it straight into the goal, and that's what it looks like Primex and Magix and Noir do each time that they get a goal. So... you need to talk about that, and you need to strategize, and Discord, pivotal there.
Or you're overthinking it, and these teams are just cruising through and doing what I don't know. There was some jest in the AOL, the AOE Discord just before in the Lucio channel before this tournament kicked off with a request for a scrim. So. Don't know. Some of these teams might be taking it seriously. Of course, there are some incentives for doing well in this tournament, with the winner, of course, taking home a $45 cash prize, which I would say not too bad for an evening of Lucioball.
I mean, come on. If you've got that sort of prize on the line, you may as well have a little bit of a script, get a little bit of practice in. Why not? It's not insignificant. You can get some, limited time loot boxes. Get that. That being said,
Queso, is that these teams have had lots of opportunities in this tournament. Of course, so if they've taken a loss, of course they have had an opportunity to come back in through the losers bracket as well. And so, clearly, Gamers and Last Resort. Done very well in that losers bracket, and so we'll be bringing you their game next. Does look like we are ready to head in to this tiebreaker map 3 between MG Sharks and MG Sharks OG. Two teams, they might have the same name, but they are both battling it out against each other here in Sydney Harbour. Very futuristic Sydney Harbour, of course. I'm looking forward to the day that ferries look like that.
Actually, on that, I was thinking a little bit before. I'm gonna have a little bit of theory crafting time, but isn't the canon of Overwatch that Australia was destroyed in nuclear fallout and apocalypse?
I don't know. Okay, so I'm not a lore expert, but I don't know. Let's not overthink that too much either. We've got a very exciting game here on our hands, and so
I want answers. Jeff, give me answers.
Magix almost takes a very good shot at goal there. He's pushed forward in the favourite spot of Primex, who's now on the other side, on that bounce pad that he loves to utilise, and that's a very good point you made earlier, Queso, about the utilisation of that bounce pad. And so Magix is going to utilise the bounce pad now. Primex up forward, tries to get a touch onto the ball, but that's a great boot from Magix. On target, does get saved there by the defender. And so it's in the attacking half now of MG Sharks OG, and so they keep finding opportunities when it is in their attacking side of the ground. And the door gets opened, usually for Primex to find a goal, but we're a minute and a bit in now, and there has been no goals scored. Magic's just used that ultimate ability and wasn't able to find anything with it. Bit of back and forth between these two sides.
Yeah, something else that I'm noticing a little bit is that Primex uses the wall as well to sort of set himself up almost. If he's not, in a position to make a strike or he's not looking in the right angle, he'll hit it against the wall.
That's a good point too, and I think we've touched on that too, is a lot of these players are utilising the wall, and Primex is able to find an opening there. Of course, he always does, and so we'll have a look at the replay of that goal.
Nice.
Direct in, that's a perfect opportunity. The goalkeeper was pushed forward perhaps a little bit too much, not through any fault of their own, but Primex able to find that opportunity. And so 3 ultimates now online for MG Sharks, and so we're going to see what they can do with them. Primex, of course, with an ultimate of his own, and he uses them so well. And so the ultimate comes out from Glacy Shays, and Mafia Monkey is able to find a goal after using his. So I think that those ultimate usages there maybe mistimed a little bit. They both used their ultimate at the same moment. I guess they did find a goal with it, so... but at what cost? And so Thostwoon does, of course, have an ultimate of his own. Primex with an ultimate on the other side, Noir very close to an ultimate too. So they did get a goal there, Queso, but perhaps using 2 ultimates to get it might have been a little bit too costly.
Yeah, that being said, though, I'd also like to say that Mafia Monkeys is also an equally very good striker. Sorry.
Absolutely. Sorry, I just say Thostwoon in the goals on that one, unfortunately, I think jumped up a little bit too high and mistimed that knockback, sort of in the wrong position. I don't think he was expecting that one back. Thostwoon very solid in goals, and I think that's what we've seen from these sides, is very solid defending. Noir on the side of MG Sharks OG, Thostwoon on the side of MG Sharks, and so they've got that solid key player back in the goals, and the team can rely on them, and the team can push up and make an attack. Knowing that the goals are protected.
Definitely. The goal is very important here, and I think that I dare say that you almost have to unbind your jump or rebind your jump key, because in goals, as we saw there, it's perilous. You press that space bar a fraction of a second too early, and you're just going to coast over the ball, and you have to watch it, in painful slow-mo go straight into your goal. So
absolutely, Magic's very close there to accidentally getting an own goal in, and so Noir has pushed forward the team's goalkeeper with that ultimate, doesn't really find anything, and so he'll do it. Old switcheroo with Magic's as he pushes forwards, and so Primex and Magic's both have ultimates online now, and they're only going to use them if they see an opportunity, and that's what Magic's does. That goal, of course, very close to getting in, but good defense we've seen from MG Sharks, and that's getting very close, but this defense is spot on, Queso.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's getting perilous with only 50 seconds left, and that MG Sharks to the red side here needs to get a second goal here to equalise, to keep their hopes alive. Otherwise, they'll be headed into that losers bracket. So the pressure is on.
Very sad to be knocked out at this point would be for them, but 30 seconds on the clock, anything can happen. MG Sharks OG is sort of solidifying a bit here. As I said, I thought they would be defensive, but they're being very aggressive here. They want to cement that lead. They're not going to just defend it and try and stop a goal from getting in. They do want to get actively looking for another goal here, and perhaps that might be a good idea because they are pushing it to the other end, keeping it out of their defensive half. And so it's looking very unlikely now that MG Sharks are going to be able to find a goal, and unfortunately for them, they're heading into the losers bracket for a loser playoff, and so it is going to be MG Sharks OG headed into the grand final. What a well thought out game, but we're now heading. We've got to put that one aside, Queso. We're heading to the losers round, the losers bracket. We're heading into round 4 for that best of 3. Gamers versus Last Resort. So we might just take a moment to compose ourselves and catch some breath, and we'll be back in just a moment for that game.
All right, sounds good.
Hello and welcome back to this very exciting AAOE Lucioball tournament. We're in the losers bracket now, and this is the first game we're bringing you from this side of things tonight. Of course, the winner of this match, Gamers and Last Resort, will head into a best of 5 in the... sorry, I should rephrase that. The winner of this game, of course, will be heading into the grand final, whereas the loser will battle it out in the losers round 5 best of 5. And so... MG Sharks OG are through to the grand final. Whoever wins this will be facing them off in the grand final. Sorry, it's been a it's been a very hectic night, Casey.
Hang on. This is the losers bracket? So surely the winner here goes to verse MG, the MG team.
No. What happens here is the winner of this game goes into the grand final.
But what? My brain doesn't work.
No, I know.
So good.
That's why I'm clarifying it for our viewers here.
Okay, but this is the losers bracket.
This is the losers bracket, correct?
So hang on, the loser here gets to still play another game.
Yes, the winner of...
Okay.
Sorry, I thought I'd clarified that enough. I apologize if I hadn't.
Sorry, I'm just trying to fix...
Great insight and analysis here from Queso. As usual. Okay, so I might just make some observations of this game, because this game is crucially important, contrary to Queso's belief, because the winner of this game will be heading to the grand final to take on MG Sharks OG for that top prize. But that was very unfortunate. Arced wins 97, unfortunately unable to connect with a boop there to defend the goal. Wasn't quick enough to react with a punch. Oh, I don't know that he could have there, unfortunately, and the ball just sort of went over his head. So that's very unfortunate from the view of Last Resort. Unfortunately, Gamers very lucky to get that one.
Yeah, I think he was just a little bit too far forward almost, and that's an odd thing to say about someone who's sitting in goal, but, you know, he couldn't get behind the ball once it was already, you know, towards the goal, and that was fatal. Namey though there, with an exceptional strike. You know, Clady Shiffy just gets off the defense and, you know, sort of trying to control their own goal and hits it straight across to Namey, who's, you know, near that sort of striking, offensive jump pad, and gets in a really nice strike there and solidifies Gamer's lead here with the second goal. Which is a pretty big deal, as we've seen before. If you get the early lead, it can be hard to come back as the sort of side perhaps gets a bit demoralized. And Deperty now bringing out the ultimate here to try and get it in, but it's going to be Namey again with another goal to his name, set up by that ultimate from Deperty, and in the end, struck straight into the goal. That was a beautiful, well-placed goal by Namey there.
Right, okay, so I've just got some clarification on how this works. I've just skipped a step in breaking down the bracket. Of course, there's still another round to go after this in the losers side of things. So I did skip a step there in explaining this. So we're in round 4 now. So the winner of this game will, of course, go to round 5.
Yes.
And then the winner of the round 5 game will take on MG Sharks OG in the grand final. So there's still a long way to go yet.
Okay, so my brain wasn't completely fried there.
There's a lot to take in, and there's a lot of games we're going through tonight, and we've still got a little way to go. But good thing is we're seeing some quality Lucioball, and so an ultimate there comes out from Jarman, and so looking for their first goal now, Last Resort. But they haven't been able to find it in that play. Jarman does look to try and send it back, but it doesn't go in the right direction. So, Queso.
Yes, hello.
Hi. Gamers are looking very dominant in this one.
I'm liking it. I think that we're seeing a similar sort of setup that the MG Sharks OG team had going, and which obviously ultimately led to their success. That was a well-placed strike there from Namey, but I think that a similar dynamic with, you know, having a defender or, you know, a goalkeeper plus someone who's able to always be in that striking position. And in this team, it looks like, you know, they share that role around, which I think, you know, perhaps if you rely on one player a little bit too much, then that could cause a bit of disaster. But in this side, it looks like everyone on the side of gamers shares that sort of striking responsibility, and they're all very strong for it. Deperny as well, doing a lot of good work here on the striking position now. Namie's also come up to try and strike, and Last Resort almost gets a goal there, but a little bit of RNG, I think. It means that it didn't bounce into the goal, but rather away, and I think that Cloudy Shift will be sighing a bit of relief there. However, Deperny gets to the other end of the goal with his ultimate activated and takes on Tenacity.
Seals the deal there, really, Queso, for Gamers. And so, Gamers looking very dominant in this first game in this best of 3 series. And so, we'll be heading to game 2 in about 22 seconds. If there's not a miracle from the side of Last Resort. What do they need to do to try and bring this one back in the coming game?
I think that Last Resort just looks a little bit less organised in comparison to Gamers. I think that they've got a good setup, but they don't have good follow through. And like we see, if we take that final fight there, for example, Tenacity and Arc Twins, they're defending, but instead of trying to pass it upfield to their striker colleague, they just sort of hit it wherever, on the other side is satisfactory. Just away from me is good enough, and I dare say that's not the best strategy.
Very insightful and in-depth analysis, Case. So as normal, we expect nothing less. So we're gonna now head into game 2 of this best of 3 game. And if you're just joining us, of course, we are finishing off the losers bracket now to determine who will be facing off MG Sharks in the grand final. So we've got to settle this best of 3 now between Gamers and Last Resort, and then we'll be going through, the winner will be going through to a best of 5 of this losers bracket, facing off against MG Sharks. And so the winner of that next best of 5 will be facing off MG Sharks OG in the grand final. And so, Queso, just for a minute, we've seen these 2 MG Sharks teams recurring a lot tonight. They're very strong teams. What do you think the chances are of us seeing a grand final between these 2 MG Sharks teams? Do you think that Gamers or Last Resort are going to be able to pull off an upset, whichever one of them goes through to the next round?
That's an interesting question. I think Gamers definitely has a chance here. They've been showing a very similar sort of play style that the MG Sharks put on display, and if you play like this, sort of your opponent does, then it becomes a very close match, and it should be anyone's game. So I think Gamers definitely in with a shot here. So I'm not so convinced.
I think you'd have to say, Okay, so we're going to head into game 2 now, and I might just put that question to our lovely audience on Twitch. Question for the chat: do you think one of these teams, maybe Gamers, are going to upset MG Sharks in the next game? I might get some predictions on the record from our audience. But we're now heading in to game 2 of this best of 3 series, and already an early save there from the side of Last Resort, who are going to probably play a bit more aggressive than we've seen in the last game, because they don't have a buffer now like their opponents Gamers do. They need to win this one, and probably win this one decisively to have a chance to win the next one. And things like that missed boot just there from Arc Twins aren't going to help, because he had to wait for another cooldown to bring it out. So Jarman, I don't know how I'm going to say that one, is on the hunt in the forward line at the moment for a goal. And so it looks like the strategy at the moment from Last Resort's to hit it out to him there in the corner. So it's like sort of a strong defense, strong solo attacker sort of strategy we're seeing here, as opposed to a strong defender, 2 attackers. But they are moving around the ground a little bit now. So I think we're seeing, I don't know, maybe a little bit more of a considered strategy from Last Resort in this game. Minute down now.
Hello.
So it's sort of just...
Sorry,
but that was quite unfortunate.
I just wanted to. I was, very much intensely watching that, and I was just gonna let the air hang there for a few seconds because I thought what could happen there was the sort of, you know, unfortunate slow boop in, and I was just gonna wait and watch, and it did not disappoint. I really enjoyed watching that. It's sad, but an inevitable consequence of Lucioball, which is a bit janky at times. Sorry.
Yeah. But that is that's what makes Lucioball so fun. It's not cut and dry. It's
Absolutely.
You know, what's going to happen? And so the teams that have more experience playing this clearly have the advantage because they know how the system works and they can game it a little bit. Not necessarily too intuitive for players with little experience. And so we're halfway through this second best of 3 game, and Last Resort are probably looking a little bit desperate now because they're going to need to score at least 2 more goals and make that 3. Not looking too hopeful for them now. And so I've got an update courtesy of Primax, our favourite player, Queso, in the chat.
Right.
To say that they had a pretty decisive win against Gamers in that round 2 contest. So
okay.
I think that's probably a consideration to make. So of course both of these MG Sharks teams looking very strong in this tournament, but let's not write off Last Resort just yet. They did use a couple of ultimates there as they try and find the ball into the goals, and it's going to be Tenacity 2K defending their goals at the back, hoping not to let any more goals in because that would be absolutely devastating for them. But
as you say that, they slipping through.
They are, and I don't want to single out anyone on this in this contest, but perhaps a lackluster defense might be costing Last Resort.
Are we blaming the defense?
I don't want to blame anybody in particular.
Scandalous.
But the number of goals that are getting through in here aren't making it easy for the attackers. Probably making it easy for the Gamers attackers, but. Alright, so ultimate comes out there from Jarman. Unfortunately, doesn't quite get a favourable boop onto it, but he is able to rush back to help his goalkeeper, Arctwins, who does get a nice boop, and that was a very nice carry through from Tenacity, but unfortunately didn't quite find the goal. So, we're seeing some promising plays here, but unfortunately nothing's following up. Nothing's continuing through on them, unfortunately, for Last Resort. And so with a minute left,
oh my gosh. Look at that simple geometry right there. I'm loving this.
So for those of you who are just tuning in, I think there's a fair few of you, this is our best of 3 losers round 4 game. So the winner of this game, of course, will go through to take on MG Sharks, and it is looking like it is going to be Gamers. So Gamers taking on MG Sharks in a best of 5 to determine who will be going through to the grand final. So a minute left here now, and then we'll be into our best of 5 series next. I hope that creates some clarity. I had trouble explaining how this thing works. And the only thing I can be certain now of, Queso, is that Last Resort have unfortunately been unable. They've come close in this tournament. They've had a few wins in this losers bracket, but unfortunately they have been able to find themselves heading in through to a best of 5 series.
Yeah, I don't like to, you know, be very decisive, but unfortunately this is all but over in time for Last Resort. Wow, that is unfortunate.
Capitalizing perhaps on Last Resort giving up a little bit now. We've still got time on the clock. We've got to play this one through. So let's see how many more goals Gamers can score in these final seconds to try and rub it in the faces of Last Resort a little bit. Of course, might help them feel a little bit better. It might make Gamers feel a little bit more confident going into this next contest against MG Sharks, which of course is going to be a very difficult one.
Yeah, definitely, and from what we've seen, they're going to be a formidable opponent. So, yeah, I'm saying this is my problem, sort of with the. Yeah, this is my problem here. This exactly here is the problem with the end of Lucioball. Like,
agonizing.
It is truly painful because, you know, the team that has lost know that they have lost. There needs to be a, 30-second or concession. You know, if the game has 30 seconds left and your enemy has like a bunch of goals over you, you need to just be able to say, congratulations, well done, you've won. No more goals, no more replays, please. Please end.
Can Last Resort get a goal in at the end? No, they can't. So unfortunately, they lose to Gamers without a goal on the board in that round. And so this best of 3 series is over, and we'll be heading into a best of 5 with Gamers taking on MG Sharks in just a moment. But we're going to take another short break so I can get my breath back. We're back in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sticking with us for the AOE Lucioball tournament. It's a very nice Friday night down here where I am. I hope it is where you are too. We're now heading into our first best of 5 series for the evening. And so the winner of this best of 5 series will go into the grand final and face MG Sharks OG. And for those of you who might have just joined us, we have two MG Sharks teams in this tournament. So this game here, we see MG Sharks already through the grand final. MG Sharks OG. And Queso, I think you'd have to say at this point, the favorite for this match will be MG Sharks. But Gamers looked very strong in the last match, so we'll see what they can bring to this contest. And of course, because it is a best of 5, there is of course a chance to bring it back and find your footing a little bit if you fall.
So yeah, this is gonna be pretty. I don't know. Like, MG Sharks are good, and I think that they'll win a couple of maps. But I think Gamers have shown some real strength as well in their games that we've seen. The game certainly in this that we just came off watching in the losers bracket has been pretty good, and I think that there's a chance here that we may well see 5 maps because it could go either way here.
And so I might just point out that this is definitely the most crucial game we've seen tonight, because the loser of this game will be eliminated from the tournament. The winner will be going through to the grand final. And that was I would say a very lackluster defense on that play there. Sort of Thostwin, we've seen him, he's been really good in goals this evening, but he wasn't really prepared for that one. A very good opportunistic goal from Derpany, who has been scoring a lot of Gamers goals tonight. So Thostwin will be going back into goals. He's been their team's designated goalkeeper this evening, and Mafia Monkey been scoring a fair share of goals for MG Sharks. And so that was a bit of a lucky save. Did bounce back. Mafia Monkey lining himself up there in the goal square, isn't able to connect onto it, and so Glacy Shays is sort of helping out a bit in the back line at the moment, but that's a very good boop back, and Frostwing hits it right back at him. So that early goal could prove to be crucial for Gamers, because we've seen this continuing theme tonight, Queso, in this tournament of the early goals sort of setting a standard for the rest of the game. You get the early goal, then you're more often than not able to continue through, keep scoring goals, and then retain a lead.
Yeah, that being said, this has been a very sort of evenly fought this has been an evenly fought game, simply because I think that early goal from Derpany was a little bit of a product of luck and a bit of product of opportunity that presented itself, rather than any sort of massive amount of like skill and precision and teamwork.
No, and like unfortunate defense as well.
But, yeah, because I mean, as you've seen. Like, as you're looking at now, we've spent basically 2 minutes, which is half the game, and it's just been a back and forth. Yeah, so that goal may just be a bit lucky.
So basically, you want to get a goal whenever you can get one, and then I don't know, maybe play a bit defensively, attack when there's the opportunity, but you don't need to play too aggressively if you've already got the goal on the board. Glacy Shays seeing an opportunity there to use that ultimate, and that whole side of the ground was open, and still hunting for a goal there, but it does get hit back to Thostwoon, trying to defend, does get a save on there. So Thostwoon, generally a very reliable goalkeeper for MG Sharks we've seen tonight, and so I'm sure their team will be thankful for his efforts in the goals. See an ultimate there come out from Nami. Unlucky, not finding the right... Oh, and that was, again, an unfortunate boop, Queso, and sometimes that's the way things go.
That I think I'd need to see the replay really very much here, because it looked like that was just, the jump from the goalkeeper there comes pretty much perfectly. I think that was a very great defensive jump, but what happens is the boot just doesn't connect, and there's almost no rhyme or reason. It just the game decides that it doesn't want to connect, and
that to go back to my earlier point too is that people who spend a lot of time playing Lucioball understand that, and they know the ins and outs, and sort of figure it out so they can game the system a little bit. They have a little bit more of an advantage. So 1 minute left on the clock, and Nami's able to find another goal. And so, so very early, this match has surprised me already. 3 goals on the board for Gamers. I was sort of expecting MG Sharks to be the stronger team in this matchup.
Yeah, that is. I mean, yeah, I think that's certainly an sort of thing to take the stance of. But I have been really enjoying Nami's attacks and his strikes here, and I think he can definitely stand up to a Mafia Monkey, who in past games has been a really good striker. But
absolutely, again, it comes down to those opportunities, and if those opportunities haven't been set up for him, then he's just not able to score a goal. And again, a very Thosthrone, I don't know, because I can't really fault the defender in that case. Sort of just happened to be in the wrong position. The ball went to an attacker who was in a better position to score a goal, sort of hard to defend. And so Gamers have a 4-goal lead in this match. They're probably obviously going to win this game, but this is a best of 5 series. So MG Sharks can learn from their misgivings in this first game, although Thosthrone is able to find a goal, and we have seen when he does build up that ultimate and he comes out of goals, he does more often than not get a goal out of it. So, and
it's certainly signs of life for the MG Sharks team here, because they're definitely very good, and as you were saying, five maps or 5 sort of games here is plenty of time for them to improvise and adapt here. Yeah.
Having that goal on the board after this first game is going to probably mentally for them help a lot going into the next game. Won't make them feel completely helpless. So they've decided Thosthrone's going to come forward now and desert his position in goals. He's been consistently there for his team. I guess sort of seeing what he can do up forward. May as well have a go. Few opportunities.
Yeah.
And with 10 seconds on the clock, this game's going to end.
Well,
but as we often see in Lucioball, a last-minute goal will delay.
Yeah, Namie wants to drag this thing on and on. But I mean, well struck. It was a goal and an opportunity that you need to take. So it solidifies the lead. But I mean, with 10 seconds to go, you're hardly going to get 5 goals to equalise or something. So
yeah.
Another thing that we can just consider here is as Gamers takes the first match here is that Gamers have just had a game, whereas MG Sharks have had a break. So, Gamers are probably a little bit warmed up, a little bit, fired up and ready to go.
I might just butt in again, Queso. I'm sorry. But I made this point earlier, and I think I might just come back to it, is that these MG Sharks players have actually had a chance to... I don't know what they've been doing. I imagine they must be in a Discord voice channel chatting to each other while they watch the previous game. So MG Sharks have had an opportunity to see Gamers in their last match, and perhaps spent time watching in real time them play and discussing what sort of strategies Gamers employed. Clearly that hasn't helped them. Hasn't helped them so far, but perhaps the fact that Gamers played that game just before, they're already warmed up. And they go straight in, whereas MG Sharks have been sitting and waiting for that previous best of 3 series. So I don't know. Those are 2 factors to consider, but they might not be that pertinent, but there's something to consider.
I mean, from experience, like playing a bit of the sort of ranked and the arcadey style of this, it is a little bit... I think that there's a little bit of an element of needing that time to warm up, simply because it is such a sort of different environment to what Overwatch normally is.
Yeah.
And as a result, if you're not actively playing, you could maybe try and strategize, but ultimately it's just you need to remember how janky the ball mechanics are and the jump physics, and you need to get all of that back into your mind in order to play as effectively.
And I guess perhaps that's why coming off hot might help.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are into our second game in this best of 5 series, the losers bracket, and Nami able to find the early goal once again. Have a look at the replay. I didn't quite catch what happened. So that was a rebound coming off initially, and the Nami's able to swoop in and get another boop onto the ball, straight into the goal. And of course, the defender wouldn't have seen that one coming at all.
No. Another thing that we're seeing here is the power of the melee attack, not just the boop. Because obviously, you know, there's a bit of a reliance on the boop to move the ball, but you also have your melee. You can just, you know, click the ball and move it away. So that there was a clever use of the fact that you have two offensive abilities. You don't just have to wait for the boot to come off of cooldown. So you know, that double tap there by Nami helped to get into the back of the net.
Yep. Spot on. And so MG Sharks now are probably feeling a lot of pressure. They're going to want to score a goal. They don't want to get into this situation again where they have an insurmountable lead early in the game. They want to even the score now, and I think that's going to be at the front of their mind as we have 3 minutes now left on the clock. So only 1 minute in, and so I've just I'll take a question from the chat. So and it's already been answered, but the best player so far in this tournament case, though, for those who have just joined it, we've discussed a lot already. Primex from MG Sharks OG for me.
Yeah, I definitely think that he's very clearly quite good, and he's been doing a good job. But we've seen other strikers do very well as well, you know.
Right now.
Yeah, Nami definitely, but Mafia Monkey was very much alive in the MG Sharks versus MG Sharks OG game, but unfortunately we haven't seen him popping off quite as much in this game here. He's been a little bit more passive, and I think that might be some of the reason why MG Sharks hasn't been performing. Because
I think that's probably
Mafia Monkey, yeah.
The whole thing about not being as aggressive, and I don't know, don't have a reason, and Nami scoring another goal, and so things are looking very difficult now for MG Sharks. But again, I'll come back to Primex being such a strong performer in the games that we've seen so far. Nami really stepping up now in this game. And that's what's going to that's what they're going to have to do in the next game against MG Sharks OG. If they do in fact win this series, someone like Nami is absolutely going to have to step up, like he's been doing in this game, to take on the sheer strength from the attack on MG Sharks OG. So definitely something to consider, and I was
Blimey.
very much hoping that one wasn't going to go in, but it did in the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, at this point, again, we've got a best of 5 series happening here, so you know, if it's halfway through the game and 4 goals, so there's definitely opportunity here for MG Sharks to equalise and take back the lead. However, that being said, even if they do lose this, they still have the possibility to get 3 map wins in a row and get that reverse sweep.
The reverse sweep for me at this point is looking very unlikely, especially if they can't even score a goal to answer this 4-goal lead from gamers. So they're going to need to show that they can bring back a few goal deficit if they're going to bring back a few games in this series deficit. So got 1:30 on the clock now. Has to be said, MG Sharks in this game especially, last game I think they had a few more opportunities, but in this game they're not really setting up any opportunities for the attack. Okay, so
yeah, I think that the sort of strategy and the structure of the gameplay that we saw from MG Sharks in previous games, and certainly in their sort of the internal, I guess, MG Sharks v MG Sharks OG game, was that they had that power of a strong goalkeeper, someone who was playing the midfield, going back to defend and attack when necessary, and the striker with Mafia Monkey most normally has sort of been thrown out the window, and as a result it looks like they're finding it hard to get the purchase that they need to consistently score goals, and as a result gamers have just been all over them.
And it's just what we just saw then is what's sort of been letting MG Sharks down, is that they haven't been able to defend their goal, especially on like in that situation. If you can't get a boop off when the ball sort of right in front of you. They've missed that first goal. You need to clear it out because otherwise they're just going to swoop in time and time again, like what we've seen, and just score a goal off of it. So if they miss their first shot, they've just been able to come in and get a second attempt at goal. So if MG Sharks are going to bring this back, not only do they need to work on playing a bit more aggressively in that attack, but they've got to do something about this lackluster defense again.
I'd be inclined to agree, but at this point it sort of is just looking like a slow death of MG Sharks as we build up to the grand final, which is going to be obviously taking on that second MG Sharks team, the MG Sharks OG. So, you know, finishing up here, gamers go up 2-0 in this semi-final, or losers bracket final, I guess you could call it. And well, there's still hope. There's certainly still hope for MG Sharks. But
yeah. So, well, technically, this is a best-of-5 series. I think the most likely outcome will be gamers will win the next game in this series, and then we'll go to the grand final. So if you're just joining us after this best-of-5 series, in which gamers is currently up 2-0, the winner of this series will head to a best-of-5 grand final with the other MG Sharks team, MG Sharks OG. And on that team is my pick of the players tonight, Prime X, although Nami on this gamer's side is looking like a real challenger. So game 3, if MG Sharks in this game 3 aren't able to answer this insurgency from gamers in this series, then it very much looks like gamers will be going through to the grand final.
Yeah, and with that, I think we're going to be heading into the third and final. Potentially third and final. I shouldn't be so precise.
Writing them off a bit early, Queso.
Sorry, my apologies. MG Sharks can still bring it back, but this is the do or die situation for them. Otherwise, it is the final map here. So I hope that MG Sharks are activated and that they bring their.
I mean, at this point, they've got to go all or nothing. They've got to play, I think, super aggressive, take some risks, because if they play conservatively, sort of, and they've felt to me like they haven't been playing aggressive enough. If they keep playing like that, then they're obviously going to lose. So why not be a little bit radical, step things up a bit here in this third game, take some risks, and maybe they'll be rewarded on the scoreboard.
Yeah, definitely.
So Glacy Shays now in that front right corner, of course, for their attack. Trying to find an angle and goal. So Mafia Monkey, who's, I must say, has looked really quite dominant in the earlier games that we've seen, hasn't really had an impact in this series, unfortunately. So good boop up to the forward line there from Dostwoon, who before this game was my pick of the defenders in goals. But how quickly things can change with a determined opponent like Gamers Queso. Another goal there on the board for them, and that's an unfortunate start.
Yeah, I mean, at this point
Sharks
as well, MG Sharks probably a little bit demoralized, and gamers are a bit, pumped, a bit hyped because of those two map wins, which are pretty decisive, with MG Sharks not being able to score many goals against gamers. So they're probably feeling a bit deflated, and we're already halfway through this game. First goal, sorry, misspoke there. Already a quarter through this game, and that one goal coming through. So.
And so the ultimate now just came out from Derpany, who himself has looked really strong, along with Nami being the two attackers on that gamers team. Both very solid. Cloudy Shifu in goals. This is probably where that saying comes in: if you don't notice them, then they're doing their job. Because Cloudy Shifu in the goal, being that goal defender, that goalkeeper,
Wow.
For
I don't know
gamers.
whether you saw that, but
I'm seeing that now, but he hasn't led any. How many goals have they conceded in this series? Is it one?
that was just incredible. The ball essentially went into the goal and it didn't register as a. That was very close, but managed to defend it. Didn't concede another goal. Oh, sorry, didn't concede the first goal, but.
but again, that's my point. Cloudy Shifu in this goalkeeper role, absolutely no flaws. I don't think. It's sort of just been playing it perfectly. And that gives the attackers, Nami and Deperny, the confidence to come forward knowing that their goal is protected. They don't need to go back because their goalkeeper is so strong. And I guess perhaps that's what Glacier Shays and Mafia Monkey are sort of struggling with, is this goalkeeper. How do they find the ball into the goals?
Well, Cloudy Shifu, I think he has clearly figured out that it's not just Boop that he has in his kit. He has the punch as well, and you know, if the striker of MG Sharks tries to get in an attack and Shifu's used his Boop, he still has an ability. He can still, you know, punch it straight away and, you know, get it out of there, because it's not just the Boop for strike for a defender, and that the power of you know, playing this game in a defensive position comes from knowing that you can get rid of a ball in multiple ways, not just that Boop which is on cooldown. So. And also, I think he probably has unbound his spacebar because, you know, being in defense and in that jump pad in goal is perilous.
Well,
I think it's a little bit unfair in this situation.
Like, we've got 10 seconds left, and it doesn't look like that MG Sharks have much hope of bringing it back here.
Yeah.
I mean, that game looked considerably better. They only conceded one goal, so. Well, considering that fact, they had 4 minutes to score a goal of their own and they were just unable to. So I think I would put that series down to a strong defense from gamers enabling the attackers on their team to go forward, play with confidence, because... well, I'm just going to put it down to that. We're going to head to the grand final in just a moment. Might take a short break until then, so do stick around because the game that everyone has been waiting for, prizes for the winner and runner-up coming up after this break. Hello and welcome back to the finale of this AAOL Lucioball tournament. Everyone has been waiting for the grand final. MG Sharks OG going head-to-head with Gamers. Both of these teams have looked formidable. I've got a few points, Queso, that I want to make before we head into this game. That's the MG Sharks OG have been watching and waiting for about an hour. So if the point we made earlier about coming in hot makes any difference, Gamers have played a few games in a row now. They're on fire. They've got the momentum behind them. They're all warmed up. They're ready to play. MG Sharks OG have sort of been sitting around perhaps talking to each other, watching what's been going on in these previous games. So they might have some insight on Gamers, whether that makes any difference, but they haven't played for about an hour, maybe more. Whereas Gamers have been playing, they're warm, they're ready, they've got the momentum. I don't know whether that makes a difference. And then the other point too that I want to make is that MG Sharks OG and Gamers have already faced each other off in round 2. And from what I hear, that was a decisive win for MG Sharks OG. So MG Sharks OG, the technical favourites probably coming in to this grand final, given their record already against this team in the tournament. However, with those other factors that I mentioned, Gamers playing for the last hour or so, there's a lot to consider, Queso.
Yeah, definitely. You said a lot of the things that I would say, and ultimately, this is just a game of who's going to be in a better headspace and who's going to bring the better game. And as we've seen, Primex is, very good with the striking. Magic sets him up very nicely, and Noir always in that goal position, or regularly in that goal position, I should say. Keeping everything closed off, keeping their defense, nice and, watertight, locked down. All the sort of, imprisonment style analogies that we can draw there. Such a good defender, and if he can keep that up, not allow Gamers to, get any goal, any momentum, concede no goals, then Gamers will have a hard time of it. Because I think what we've seen is that Gamers have, a decent attack, but I think that their strength definitely comes from their defense. Cloudy Shifu in the goal, always doing a really good job. Some of those goal saves in the last game, oh my gosh, yeah. You would be remiss to think he's some sort of legend, because the way that sometimes the ball is, I was watching it, the ball was in the goal, and then Cloudy Shifu is like, right at the back of the net and manages to clear it straight out. And so here, if it's two really strong defenses, then it can very much be an intense game. And as you said earlier, it's a best of 5. So if it's just one goal aside, each game for 4 minutes, that can extend this, and we might see the full 5 go here. And I definitely don't think that this is certainly a set in stone victory for one or the other team.
Look, it's a good point you make, breaking down the players at a personal level. But one of the players on the side of Gamers have just pointed out, Deperny, who's been absolutely phenomenal in the attack, is that because Gamers lost in their second round, they've actually played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is their 8th game that they have played in a row, pretty much. Whereas for MG Sharks OG, they've only had to play 4 games. So this is their 4th game. So I don't know, that's another factor to consider, I guess, and that's partly because of MG Sharks OG's dominance thus far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gamers, they've been dominant too, but it's just unfortunate that they did take that loss to MG Sharks OG in round 2. But they've obviously been very determined. They didn't let that loss bring them down. They haven't lost since then, and now they are right in this, in the grand final, looking to get their revenge now on MG Sharks OG. And so we're nearly a minute in now. We haven't seen a goal scored yet. And that's usually, to me, a good indicator that we're in for a very close game. And both of these teams will be working hard for every single goal.
Yeah, and already we're seeing the strength of these defending sides. It becomes I think a good game of Lucioball and a bad game of Lucioball are very hard to distinguish because, as you can see here, it becomes that, volleyball. Oh my gosh, the setup was phenomenal there. Sorry, that took me a little bit by surprise, but as you can see here, the setups by Magix.
Okay, so sorry, that's the thing about Primex in these goals is that we don't normally expect them. We sort of just back and forth, but somehow Magic sees an opportunity in most cases, passes it off to Primex, and Primex is able to capitalize on a goal that no one sees coming. It's sort of he finds these perfect entries in the most unlikely scenarios. Maybe not unlikely, but you see it difficult scoring a goal. So ultimate does come out from Nami, trying to score a goal while it's in their attacking half. Of course, 3 ultimates online for MG Sharks OG. Magix does use his ultimate. They're trying to clear it out of their defensive half. They're successful in doing so, but they aren't able to find a shot at goal as a result. And so we're sort of hanging out in the middle of the field at the moment.
Yeah. As I was saying, the difference here between these really good games and bad games is that they become a little bit like Lucio volleyball, and nothing really happens. But as you said, that once an opportunity presents itself, like Primex is always in a good spot, that's when those goals can come out, and Primex is always on the ball, and yeah, it was a really good play. But seeing here now, 2 minutes 30 seconds are down with only 1 goal being scored, and I think it's possible that these games will go by with just one or two goals.
Although, if there's anything to note from Primex, another good goal there. Sorry, I'll come back to this goal in just a moment. But if there's anything to note from these two teams is that they really switch on at the last minute of these games. And gamers are going to have to do that because Primex, not only is he good at scoring these unlikely goals, he's also good at hitting the emote key right after he scored them as well.
I've noticed that as well.
So it will be Magix back in the goals, and Magix isn't normally back in the goals for MG Sharks OG. It's normally Noir, so perhaps, I don't know, maybe there was confusion about who was going to be in the goals, or...
Well, it's possible that Noir there had his ultimate up, so Magix was just going to let him take...
Perhaps Magix advantage. Wasn't ready to take... I don't... But in any event, it was a good goal, and so it, definitely game on here now.
Yeah, well, I mean, Deperny did use his ultimate there to get that into the back of the net, so it was a well-used ultimate, is very fruitful, and yeah, they
worthwhile investment, you could say.
Most definitely.
And so Magix is gonna sort of be the midfield now in this situation. The ball's sort of coming back and forth in their half, taking this very seriously with this defense, as Nami does commit an ultimate now, because from gamers' perspective, there's 30 seconds left and they're going to need to score 1 goal or another goal to avoid going into overtime. But Primex has had an incredible opportunity there to score the goal, and perhaps very unlucky not to get that one. It was very close. I think it bounced off the bottom of the net. And so 15 seconds now on the clock left for gamers to get a goal in this game. Looking a little bit unlikely now. MG Sharks being very aggressive, hoping to score another goal, but Deperny in the goals puts up a fight until the last minute. And so our first game in this best of 5 series, MG Sharks with a 1 in their column. Queso.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very solid performance from everyone on MG Sharks. They only conceded 1 goal, but Deperny, as we see here with the play of the game, was definitely showing signs of life, and that, when MG Sharks' defenses fail a little bit, he can score those goals just as well as Primex. So, certainly not over, and we've still got games, some games to decide this grand final once and for all. So, it's not over, and I think that gamers here have a real opportunity to bring it home.
Especially when you consider, and the word coming through is that MG Sharks OG absolutely decimated gamers in their round 2 game.
Yeah.
From this, that's not the case. There's a 2-1 in this first game in this best of 5 series. Gamers looking very, very competitive.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, it's not going to be a massive, stomp, as we, say. It's going to be a little bit measured and a little bit slow to start off with, obviously, as people, know that they still have plenty of time to bring their A game. Looks like we're changing stadium here, which is a nice bit of nice variety, hopefully. Because, not gonna lie, the Australian stadium is getting a bit dry, and I still have unanswered questions about the law, which I would quite like answers to.
Does that make the map unplayable to you, Casey?
It does, correct.
Well, unfortunately for you, we are correcting the map, and we are going back to Sydney Harbour. You're going to have to put up with it.
I am distraught now.
Well, while you suck that up, we'll be getting stuck into Game 2 here at Sydney Harbour, in the beautiful harbour. See Luna Park over there in the distance on the other side of the harbour bridge.
I mean, this is on an island. This is like some sort of artificial... Gosh, this doesn't exist in reality. Sorry, I'm just...
Reality is what you make it, okay, so...
Yeah, right.
Oh. Anyway, look, gamers probably want to get the first goal here to feel like that they get some confidence behind them, I suppose.
Yeah, that being said, they almost conceded a goal to Prime X's early strike there, but unfortunately,
they're switched on.
Shifu is very
and
powerful in that goal.
And as I said in the last game, is that Cloudy Shifu in the goals has looked really dominant, as is Noir for the side of MG Sharks OG. So both of these teams very strong on the defense, and I think that might be the moral of the story tonight, is that having a strong defender in goals is key. Anyway, Ultimate's now building up for both of these sides. Deperney just got his now, and so it's a matter of what they're going to make of this situation. He doesn't need to use the ultimate, as the goal from halfway down the field finds its way into the corner of the... I don't know, it's not a net, is it? It finds its way into the corner of the goal. Unlucky from Noir there in the defense. He claims to have booped the ball, but Queso, as we know in Lucioball, you can't trust that boop.
Yeah, it's very temperamental, it's very idiosyncratic, and it's got a mind of its own sometimes, so...
Any other adjectives you can...
I was throwing them all out there, but...
and well,
Primex.
Adjectives, that was just a perfect, well set up goal there for
phenomenal, phenomenal, fantastic, exceptional goal.
I don't want to go too over the top there, but Primex does make a lot of these opportunities that he gets. He doesn't miss these shots. When he gets an opportunity and there's a goal to be had, he typically finds it. So we're 1-1, nearly halfway through this best of 3. Round 2 on this best of 5 series.
For the first 3. First of 3 wins. I was just saying that I was saving face.
That's what best of 5 is, Queso. So
yeah. Saying that it's not so unlikely that you would have 3 on the mind.
Well, 3's on the mind from our earlier games. Anyway, back into this one. It's the one that matters. We've got 2 minutes left now, and Magix does use an ultimate now to bring their ball down to their attacking half, and unfortunately doesn't quite find its way into the net there. Bounces off the side wall. Ball does come back. Some strong, solid defense there.
Oh!
So that was very nearly a goal for Deperney.
Yeah, and Onami there tried to get it in, but as we know, again and again, keeps
Primex
everything.
Using an ultimate, and as always, converts to a goal. And I don't know how he finds these, Queso. I'll be honest, I haven't been looking at it from his first-person perspective, and I've just switched to him just before that goal. And I don't know how he sees that. How does he read the play so well that he can find a goal at every opportunity?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's quite an incredible power of perception. Maybe he has the sixth sense. We don't know, but
well,
he's got a really good handle.
That would be a good explanation. Cloudy Shifu in goals has been really good, but it's so hard when you don't think that there's a goal coming. But somehow Primex finds the way to make it happen. And so now for gamers, they're going to want to respond to this goal. They've only got 1 minute left, so there's not much time in this game to respond and even the score a little bit. Of course, best of 5 series. This is the second game. They've got a chance to bring it back, but I get the sense that they will want to bring it back now and score a goal in the time that they have remaining. Primex putting on so much pressure up forward, and so he's keeping them on their toes, that's for sure.
So I've switched to first person mode. Oh, watching Primex's perspective, I haven't done that much. I've been trying to get a sense of the whole field, but watching where he positions and what he does, he takes a lot of good use of the punches rather than the boops, and he does use the increase, the increase in beat, the, what is it called? Beat it, drop the, gosh, I've lost the ability to name these abilities. The amp it up, that's the name, sorry. He uses that amp it up ability to get to the ball nice and quickly, punches it into the wall, and then the boots, like that there, strikes towards the goal, and as long as he's got the good right angle, then he can get it in, it looks like. Oh!
He's trying to create another opportunity for himself here at the end, and he wouldn't put it past him, but there you go. MG Sharks OG once again victorious in this second game in this best of 5 series.
Yeah, and that was a little bit more one-sided perhaps than the last game. You know, Primex really did come alive this game, and we saw that with another goal on top of what he got last game, obviously 3-1 rather than 2-1 from the first round. But going into this third map, I think that it's still anyone's game, and I still think that gamers, if they can get a nice early lead and then play a defensive game, they can bring this back and they can potentially take the come back and have a chance at that reverse sweep. So yeah, looking forward to it.
It's my understanding, Queso, that
yes.
Well, I don't actually have any understanding on the situation, but I don't know that we will go to a game 3.
Oh no! What's going on?
I'm waiting to see. Oh no, we've just had one of the players disconnect, so he's coming back in. I don't know. I'm probably gonna say now MG Sharks OG. They've looked dominant this whole tournament. And from the start. Oh, okay. So, sorry, I'm. Okay. Sorry. I think we get across the rules of this this tournament. What's happened here is
what?
MG Sharks OG went undefeated in the winners bracket.
Yes.
So apparently they get a free round win.
So are you saying that what we just saw was the final map? Because they had already had a free 1-0 in going into the start of this. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's what they're saying.
Well, I dare say that's quite anticlimactic. We'll have to confirm with some official rules.
Well,
lawyers.
I've just been informed by the administrator of the tournament who has confirmed to me that Game 3, MG Sharks got a free win because they won the winners bracket. So,
well, surely winning the winners bracket means you get a free pass into the grand final, not a free. Okay, all right. Well, I think that must therefore conclude the grand final, and that means that MG Sharks has won 3 to Gamers 0 in the grand final.
Yes, that's right. And I'll make the point too. MG Sharks didn't have to do very much to get into the grand final. They very dominant. They won all 4 of their games through round 1 through to round 4, that semi-final, and so they're undefeated throughout the whole tournament. Gamers, the only match that they lost, of course, was the earlier one to MG Sharks in round 2. That one was a bit one-sided. Argument to be made that perhaps MG Sharks OG did lock out Gamers in this last match. I don't know. I think the main deduction I'm going to take away from this Lucioball tournament, which has, by the way, been a lot of fun, is that Primex is probably the best player of this tournament.
Yeah, I definitely would be inclined to agree, and we've seen some incredibly strong Lucioball. As I said, I came into this as a bit of a skeptic of the whole situation, and I think that this has really affirmed the fact that there is some skill and there is some cohesion, teamwork that can come through in an otherwise rather janky and strange game mode. But Primex shows that with the right setup, thanks to magics and a really solid goal keep from Noir, that you can play a really solid game and you can get that sort of coordination and the teamwork. And I'm almost a little bit saddened that I can't listen to perhaps some of the comms to maybe affirm whether it is a really teamwork and communication heavy thing, or maybe it's just naturally good and they can meme the whole time and have a bit of fun and still win. But I guess we'll never know. Ultimately, as we saw, MG Sharks they had a very good display throughout the whole time, and that they definitely deserved the win. Albeit, a best of 3 in the end.
And so for their efforts in competing in tonight's tournament, each member of MG Sharks OG will take home $15 each, and so the runners-ups will take home $10 each, and the 3rd and 4th runners-up will enjoy some Summer Games loot boxes.
Yeah, so can you recap quickly who the teams that have obviously not made it here but who are still winners in terms of prizes?
No, I can't do that. What I
okay.
What I can do is thank all of the teams for participating. Gamers, MG Sharks OG, MG Sharks, Last Resort, Grill Hunters, Kitsunami, Buckstog and Bloodborne and Co, Yeetus Yote, Flat Earthers, JPEG Feed, Neverlock, and the Tilting Belbs. So they're all of the teams who competed. Thank you for competing in this tournament. It's been a lot of fun. Of course, MG Sharks OG, the winners. Gamers, unfortunately, running it up there. Okay, so I think that just about wraps up our coverage.
I believe so.
What has been, I think, a successful tournament. 12 teams, a few hours of a game mode that we only see once a year. I really like these arcade-style tournaments, so I hope we'll see another one again soon.
I'm calling it now that we're going to have an AAOE May Yeti Hunt tournament. Wouldn't that be exciting? I think May Yeti Hunt is certainly a phenomenal game mode.
May Yeti Hunt had eroded from my memory.
What? Is it really not that memorable for you?
No, I didn't recall May Yeti Hunt.
Come on, I can't wait for competitive May Yeti Hunt. It's going to be a great game mode. But I think that just about wraps up everything that we have here.
Absolutely, I think it's past your bedtime.
Got to get
let out too late. Past curfew. Yeah. Okay.
Alright.
Thank you to everyone for watching this tournament. It's been fun, and thank you for everyone who has been staying engaged and keeping afloat on everything that's been going on. I'm Swift. Queso's been our pro analyst here on the virtual desk. Thanks to Zero Aim for putting his hand up to stream this tournament. Do appreciate it. And we'll see everybody tomorrow night for our regular AAOL season matches. Queso?
Yeah, it's been fun, and looking forward to some more conventional Overwatch tomorrow.
More boring, perhaps, for some. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you for tomorrow's games starting at 7 o'clock, and then the second round of games starting at 8:30. We'll see you then.
Bye-bye.